whatnot. And I'm gifted, how that feel as we get lifted. 2 steps back and forth, embrace the square. It's real out here, baby.
So I got to start with my side. As you realize already, I'm not a native speaker. I came to Chicago about 10 years ago, I guess. And I'm a scientist. I did my PhD in physics in France. I'm from Chile originally. I worked, studied there before. I had a band there. It was more like a rock, pop, punk band with some jazz in between. I've been working here at the University of Chicago, at Northwestern University, and now by myself as a researcher. I work in complex systems, and somehow this has all come together into trying to make sense also as the makers of sense when I met Elle and we started thinking that we could do some good music together and explore some new avenues. Elle, on the other side, Lionel, has a quite different background, which he will proceed to explain.
Where shall I start? Grew up listening to hip hop, collecting records, infatuated with beats and technology and equipment. My cousin is a DJ, and he was in his early dating years, and so I went out to California, I went to the Bay Area, spent the summer out there in Berkeley. And, he didn't want to be around. He was dating, so he was chasing women and whatnot. So, and I was too young to hang out with him, so I would be in his room, and he was like, "Well, you can play with my turntables," because he didn't want to take me anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, literally spent a whole summer learning how to mix on my own. Didn't do very well, but the last month, I started figuring out how to blend. I was scratching, and I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't really leave his room for 3 months on the turntables, and that was the beginning of where it really started, in a sense, he likes to take credit and say, "Oh, I taught you how to do all this," whatever. But it's not really.
He just left you to run alone.
He just left me in the room alone. The hip hop bug just bit me, and I've been into it ever since.
So one basic thing that makes us different is that we really have different background. We grew up in different places in the world. We lived in different places in the world, and of course that means that we have some cultural backgrounds that are important and different. And I think this comes out in the music, right? So the influences that we have, I can have influences of some Latin American pop artists that I grew up listening to, right? And I didn't listen to hip hop, until much later in my life. And in Chile, I remember we got Public Enemy at some point. A friend of mine showed me that, and I thought oh, that's really interesting, but that's so American.
I always was into different types of music. It's all interesting to me. So I was listening to Latin music. I was listening to, quasi what they call world music, African, jazz, soul music, you name it.
We also like to have content in what we're saying, right? And we are politically engaged people, and I think that's an important thing of what we have to say too. It's interesting also when you contrast Chicago and Santiago. We were doing some shows in Chile a couple of years back, and it was for me very interesting to see Elle, so Lionel, in the background of where I grew up. It was almost like cognitive dissonance, right? So it's there was 2 different parts of my life coming together.
Right. Sure.
Lately we've been working together, we've been learning and exchanging a lot of information with people who are very deep into purely house or purely minimal styles. And we grab some of those things and we play around with it, because something that's important for the makers of sense, that we have to be open to touch different things.
Absolutely.
Stump out like Rhino. I'm hot, so nice, precise, not what else, what not. And I'm gifted, how that feel as we get lifted. 2 steps back and forth, embrace the square.
Grab what you want to play on this other thing, and let's just coordinate and say, hey, I like this sound, I'm gonna play this sound, and I'm gonna.
Sure. All right.